Take good notes. A raw and emotional true story about a mother's relentless fight to tell the truth about her son's imprisonment. When her son is accused of being a murderer, aggressor, and abuser, her world shatters. But the truth tells a very different story. This is Tonya Branch, and this is her reminder to take good notes.
All right, so welcome back to me and welcome back to you to another episode where we're talking about take good notes. And where we left off last time was the 911 call. My name is Carissa.
I'm Tonya Branch.
Who's the author. So the last time we read off actually the 911 call. And there was just some important things within that call that we want to kind of refresh everyone's memory on. Very first thing is that he called 911 within minutes of everything happening. Another thing to take good notes on is that he believed that she had a knife. He told the dispatcher, I guess, is it 911 call? Is that a dispatcher? Yeah. What are they? Okay, yeah. He told the dispatcher what he thought he saw, and he actually, emphasized that he's no threat. He'd be outside. He was going to set down his vape and phone. He was waiting on the cops. So personally, when I heard that and when I read it, I just kind of want to put this out there because I'm a normal receiver of this information. My first thought is, if you're planning something terrible and if you want to get away with it, you don't turn yourself in, would be my first thing. And my second thing would be I would be out of there as quick as possible if I was truly wanting to get away with something. The next thing is I wouldn't be cooperating and being I'm waiting outside and I'm going to wait for you. And then I thought of something really important too, is that because what they found is they did not find the knife right next to her, but he had told the dispatcher that she had a knife, so he believed that she did. So if I was trying to cover something up or if I was trying to convince people otherwise, I would not have called the cops right away. I would have went and gotten a knife and I would have placed it where I said it was going to be. So I really wanted to, emphasize, because again, we're not meeting here to talk about the fact, we're not trying to say it didn't happen. And we're not trying to say that, the sadness of somebody actually, dying didn't happen too. All of this is very tragic. All of this is horrible. But the whole point of even putting together the book or even talking about it is that Tonya wanted to tell this story from the perspective of the information that she had. And a lot of the facts that we have, again, you have to remember the prosecution did not share discovery with Tonya. And after all of this went down, they still didn't have to share it because it never went to court. So we never got to see the evidence that we have is 100% truthful in what we have to look at. And these are the conclusions we have based on what we are looking at. So we didn't get anything else to look at, even through the courts. But those are just some conclusions from the 911 call that if I was in this situation and trying to get away with something, I would have done something different.
1,000%.
So, yeah. So just kind of wanted to refresh with that as we, press forward, because it's really important that, we're not excusing any bad behavior. We're not trying to say something didn't happen. We're not trying to change the outcome of anything. We're trying to tell the truth from the facts that we have. All right, so Tonya, going into that moment afterwards, so you're headed there. Tell everybody about your experience showing up at the scene.
When we showed up, I saw yellow tape everywhere in the neighborhood. It was a lot of flashing lights, it was cop cars everywhere. And I didn't really know what was going on at the time, but there was a news reporter there. And we kept wanting to say is, I need to get to my son. That was not going to happen. I didn't know if he was dead. I didn't know what was going on. I thought for sure that I would see my son no longer living because of the situation. And, like I said, his phone call to me was, "Come quick, she's got a knife." And with that, I was just in panic mode. Panic mode.
So you thought that showing up and seeing what you saw, that he actually passed. So that must have been like a terrible feeling, or that he was hurt. But and nobody was talking to you. The police were telling you to back up. They set up the yellow tape. They weren't even communicating what happened. You heard through a reporter that a young woman actually was, in the ambulance.
He said, at that time, and I'm talking to anybody, and everybody told me something, and he said something about a young lady's had a knife on a guy, and okay, so that's a news reporter telling me that, and he was just filming, and I guess moments later he comes back and is like, no, the girl is going to be taken away with the medics, and at that point in time, things started to shift, like, what is happening here? And he said to me, if you know any of her family or relatives, contact them. I didn't really think whether that was normal or not normal, but I did. I did what the guy said because I didn't know the situation, and I remember reaching out to the AKA foster mom, or what I thought the foster mom was, on Facebook because I didn't have her phone number at that time. And I don't even remember what I said, but something to the effect of maybe call me, or there's been an incident, or I don't know, but I needed somebody on her side of the family to know that something was going on. I didn't get a response, but yeah.
Okay. And so Sawyer is put in the back of the cop car while they are investigating what happened. And, he never hid the fact that he shot her. So there wasn't really much to investigate as far as, what happened and what was used. He was very upfront with all of that. While he is in the back of the cop car, and this is all, based on the evidence that we received from the court. So we have court testimony and, the discovery that was shared with Tonya, that he was panicking. He was hyperventilating. And again, I think he was 19 at the time, not processing what happened very well because, again, it's something very tragic. And he probably was in, some kind of mindset when it happened and a different one when, in the back of the cop car. So he's hyperventilating. At this point, he's not being read his rights or hadn't been read his rights, and he's talking and he's saying what happened and he's sharing things, with the police officers. And finally, somebody came to read him his rights. And this is also very important too, again, because he was asking for a lawyer. There were things that weren't done correctly. And you always hear about the Miranda rights and you always hear about the importance of them. He was coached on how to answer the questions.
Right.
So he was told to answer yes to everything, which when you answer yes to all the questions, it means that you understand.
Right.
And he may not have really understood, being, possibly in shock about the situation, and also being young. I mean, you do what you're told when a police officer is telling you to do something.
Right.
But they did the Miranda rights incorrectly, telling him to say that he understood when maybe he didn't, which is a problem.
It seemed to work out for them just fine.
Yeah. Yeah. So later on in discovery, or during the court testimony, that specific officer was asked if that was the way, I think it was the way that he did business.
Right.
Did he do this every time that he read the rights? And he said no, he didn't. So I thought that was interesting in the court testimony that we read as well.
Yeah.
So everything clears out, everybody leaves, and you're standing in the rain for hours, right?
Yeah, it started to rain way later down the road. I think later in court they had said it was raining at the time. No, it was not. It was not raining at the time of the incident. That began way later down. Um, I'm not sure why that was put into place, just for whatever clause that they had later to use. But no, hours had went by, and I think it was probably 2 or 3, maybe even later in the morning, and they literally said, "Okay, you can come on in," and I did. And that's when my phone started recording, though. I wanted to record everything.
Right. There was a detective waiting for you, though, and he separated you and Ryan at the time to
Right.
see if there was, different sides of the story. And then everybody left, and you were able to actually get Zoe, who was whining and barking, and you hadn't had a chance to grab her yet. You grabbed her,
Right.
and then were able to go into the house. So, and your instincts kind of kicked in. So the police officer, everybody left, and what did you start doing?
I was recording everything. I was starting my own little thing, because at this point I'm wondering why my son is even being hauled away. To be truthful with you, and I know it sounds crazy for me to even say, but the reality is I knew things prior that she had done, and I knew this wasn't okay. I tried to tell the officer she wasn't even supposed to be there. I've even given her a letter saying to stay away from this property, a certified letter. I don't know if we even talked about that before in the other thing, but yeah, I'd written a certified letter saying to stay away. I felt fearful for everybody involved, honestly, with her. So that was that.
And then he called you, though, saying that she was coming at him with a knife. So, of course, you're investigating because your thoughts about what happened are different than what they were concluding as well.
Most definitely. The way that we were separated with the detectives, I already knew they weren't looking for the truth. They were looking for something other to make their situation more brighter than what it was. And my story holds firm. She was told not to be here. She's a dangerous person. I don't know what else they want me to say. That was what it was. So I don't think they liked my version of things, and they never talked to me again.
On the camera, so this was another important thing that I had noted when we were looking through everything, that the first time that you got her on camera where she was punching him and kicking him, and in the kitchen, punching, kicking, everything was on camera. And when you brought it to her attention and she was trying to say that he was hitting her and slamming her head into things, there was none of that on the camera, by the way,
Right.
that you had set up. There was nothing like that. And then when you called her out on it, she kind of conceded at that time. But even furthermore, the important thing is she knew there was cameras. And that was probably like the one thing, I guess if I was a mom, that would be the one thing that I would look back and be like, I wish she didn't know there were cameras. Because when you were filming after the event, what you found was smashed cameras, right? Broken cameras.
When I walked through the door, instantly I noticed the door was demolished. Like the inside of it, when you open it, it had been busted through. The outside had dents in the door. I turn the knob, I'll go in, and I can see, I go to the cameras. One camera is just crushed, like it's been beat to death. The other camera was unplugged, not in the right position. There was that. I keep going in the hallway, and I can see where it has taken place. I turn right to the bathroom, and I can see broken things
It was obvious the conflict happened in the bathroom.
I think it started there.
The physical altercation.
Yeah,
there.
because he had, and I tried to make that make sense, but he was in the shower.
Mm-hmm.
He was trying to get out the shower, and due to the text messages, he was taking a shower.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah.
And as you're filming, even though there wasn't a knife in her hand at the time, there were 2 knives found. One was in a bedroom on the floor, and the other one, it was in another bedroom on a dresser. There was 2 bedrooms, right? And
they're within arm's reach.
yeah,
to be
yeah.
clear on that.
So actually measuring, from the diagram, the police diagram, if the room size was, what it said to be, it was within like 6 feet of her where she landed, and then the other one was like 3 feet away on
I
the
was
dresser.
Gonna say if even 3 feet. To be truthful with
it's
you.
on a dresser. Mm-hmm. So there were knives present. They just weren't in her hand at the time, and so the camera thing. If she didn't know about it and they were still intact, we would actually be able to see what happened, but we were unable to know. Like nobody, only Zoe knows really what exactly happened that night. So from your standpoint, from the prosecution standpoint, it's all evidence and what the neighbors have to say and, everything from that point forward. So after you're done filming, it's like 1 a.m, isn't it? It's like
Later, I think it was like 3, to be truthful with you. It was really, really late. I was just so, but yeah.
And you and Ryan decided to go home and went back the next day with your family to clean up because the police said they were done there and there was nothing more.
Right.
So you started to clean up the scene, I guess, everything that happened because you believed that this was self-defense and he would be able to come back home and you wanted him to come back home to a space that was ready to live in.
Sure.
But that's not what happened. It was a matter of the next day, I think you got your first taste of what direction this was going. Starting with the news and how it was, it wasn't, and I understand society, I understand the glitz and glam of news, I understand why maybe something was said the way it was, but the news article said, Chesterfield woman loved by everyone, shot and killed. So just saying it even like that is showing the direction that all of this is going in. I mean, before true evidence is, shared, on both cases, before there's even a trial, it's very much laying the groundwork that he is the monster and she is
A sweet little innocent victim.
right. And, granted, somebody lost their life again. Like we're not taking that fact away, but how he was made out to be as a monster and the sweet innocentness is the part that this is the story you're trying to tell, that there's just more to this story and a lot more that went into it and a lot more that if the roles were changed, and I think we should talk about that right now because I think it's important for everybody that will be watching this. How would we view this if a woman was taking a shower and was in a relationship? Let's just be honest. It was a toxic relationship on both sides. Nobody's saying that one person was sweet and innocent in this at all, right? It's a toxic relationship. Woman is taking a shower. Boyfriend breaks into the house, attacks the girl in the shower in her own home, and says there's a knife, and she ends up shooting him. Would your viewpoint be different if that was the situation? I mean, this is a hard question. And to be honest with you, when I got involved with Tonya, what was one of the first things I said is I'm usually an advocate for, I will always back up a woman in this situation. And I said, this is going to be a very difficult task for me to work with you on this. But when I saw everything and when I tried to challenge myself, it would be a different story. And I think all of us would answer differently. And not just all of us would answer differently. There are court cases that you present in your book where it's almost the exact same situation, exactly, and the outcome's even different.
Right.
So this is the point you're trying to make as you march forward, is that you want to show that, sure, this does happen way more to women. Nobody's denying that. But we do have a bias in society that it doesn't happen to men. Or if it does happen to men, it's almost a joke, right? Like, what did he do?
Yeah.
Or,
I'm sure he did something.
yeah,
He
something
deserved
motivated,
it.
it's something
Gaslighting.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you knew the direction it was taking, and I think that that's just important, just kind of like what we're used to as a society on, when things like this go down, we just make a conclusion right away without really knowing.
Well, you take what you're hearing and you run with it because it makes sense, and you're like, okay, let's just go with that. It sounds good, but everything's not laid out, which is really the scary part of it, because how many more people is this happening to across the board? And when we say we know what happens to women, but I'm starting to figure even more that I wonder if it's really 50-50, to be honest with you. It's even dug into my brain more of how much men are victims, and regardless, they're just not telling people. And I don't know.
Well, men are supposed to be a macho. They're supposed to be bigger. They're supposed to be, be able to take control, whatever, the stigma is here. That is probably even embarrassing for a man to admit that he might be in that situation.
Right.
So
when the neighbors had talked to me, they were telling me that, they had told the cops of the nature of the situation. Like, she was outside of his house, threatening the dog 3 days before, I'm going to kill your dog, open the fucking door, stuff like that, and it's really disturbing to hear because, wow, like, I don't know, in court we found that those statements are redacted. They were blocks of statements redacted. But why? Legally I think they can take out their name and their address, but these were like paragraphs.
we're all used to that right now, Tonya, with the Epstein files. We all know that. There's a reason for that. There's a reason.
It's just not right.
Well,
these are.
I agree.
Not right. It's not right.
There's evidence, you guys knew the neighbors too. So besides the fact that they were telling cops and all that stuff's redacted, you actually heard from them what they had seen.
Yeah.
And then there's, you had your video evidence, but we also had text messages. So just so, everybody, watching this knows, Tonya went after, when she was getting ready to write this book, went to the courthouse. You had to pay, I think, right?
Yeah, you just have to pay for the copies of whatever you want to, and certain things are there that are open knowledge, and I got as much as I could, and yeah, I didn't mind paying. It didn't matter the cost. I wanted all.
Right.
And then I was able to even unfold more.
Right.
Even during this, though, it was, I was able to get into certain messages and see really what was happening, and that there was one particular Facebook post that it was on Messenger, that she was talking to him, and it admittedly said that she was messing with the camera, she was messing with the dog, and he's like, put my dog down. Plug my camera back in. So the evidence is there to say this is what she's done. But nobody gave a shit.
Well, it's not even about just taking the dog. There's text talking about hurting the dog even.
Oh, yeah.
While he was out with his dad doing mechanic stuff or getting parts or something. They were going somewhere, and she's like, I'm in the house. If you don't come home right now, I'm taking, Zoe. So there was a lot of threats.
If you don't get if I don't get what I want,
you don't get what you want. Yeah.
And it was those kind of things that just really next level that are hard to read.
Right. But we had to read them, so the amount of, copies was, I want to say, like over 1,000 pages
Yeah, it was a
total.
lot.
Like, I mean, it's like this of all the text and everything that we had to go through. So, part of in the family, and my heart goes out to the family, but their response is you don't have the whole story. And I think we absolutely know that we don't have everything. And the reason is because they didn't share it. The body cam footage wasn't shared. The discovery wasn't shared. Like you said, everything's redacted. So we didn't receive the information that you all had because you postponed it and you didn't share it and you redacted things. But my question is why? If it was so strong and it was so, compelling, you would think that it would be right there for everybody to see, but it wasn't. We still don't have it, and we will never have it.
That's not the way the system works.
Right.
It's all about the win.
Right.
At whatever cost. And I did not know that at the time that it was really that way, but it is that way,
Right.
know, and it's really hard to kind of think about. You're not innocent until proven guilty. You're guilty as fuck until you just got to prove yourself the other way.
Right.
And that's really the truth.
Right.
That's really something to kind of take away with, but I don't know.
Yeah, and so as this started to progress, you've never been through that. Who the heck's been through this? I mean, this is the worst nightmare a mother could possibly have. So you get appointed a lawyer. You show up to court, and your lawyer's late, or doesn't show up the first time. That's right. Sends like an assistant or somebody.
Right.
And this is when you're first introduced to the prosecution, Miss SS. And during that first meeting, not only is she, of course she's doing her job. Like, let's just be honest, she's doing her job. But she accuses you in front of everyone, including the family, of being a part of this.
The judge, the family, and everything. I will never forget her saying, and we believe the mother has co-conspirated.
Without any evidence, she planted that seed. Mm-hmm. And what did that do? Oh gosh, what did that do? So when you were leaving, what happened? When you left that moment, because at that moment you're like, we need to be, first of all, you need your lawyer to show up. But you started to go into panic mode, that you felt that now they were going to try to come after you. But what happened in the parking lot when you were trying to leave?
Yeah, so instantly when she said that, like, all of our mouths dropped, mm-hmm. because it was so in disbelief of what she was even saying and why she was saying that. Like, what led you to say that? I didn't know that prosecutors could say anything they wanted to, no matter what, and it doesn't matter. You can do nothing about it. It does not matter. She can say anything she wants to say. So I didn't know that she had basically planted seeds with their family, mm-hmm. and a judge for me, mm-hmm. now to be this person who has been involved in that. As we left, again, I wasn't putting things together. Everything's just happened so fast and so unbelievably for me. Her sister, as she's pulling out the parking lot, she mocks to me, "Murderer."
Yeah.
And I'm looking at her like, what the fuck? Why would she even... Now it's all coming together. Like, this is why she said that to me. She probably really thinks that I had something to do with this. I don't know. So,
and your theory on why that even came up is first of all, your involvement in trying to protect your son. The cameras, the counseling of that you guys shouldn't be together or whatever it was.
The certified letter.
Yeah, well, I was going to get to that too. And then sending the certified letter on happenstance on the day that it happened. That was what she was going off of. But of course, he didn't have anything to do with this. So she mouthed murderer, and then you leave. And this is when you really start to realize the situation that you all are in now, not just Sawyer. You all are in this situation. Yeah. You show up to court the next time, and your lawyer, Mr. Presley, finally decides to show up, and he doesn't even know how old Sawyer is. He doesn't even have the facts straight. And so you even start to worry more like, wow, like even the lawyer that I'm given.
Well, we weren't given him.
Okay.
We actually tracked down a lawyer because as it's happening, we're in panic mode. We're trying to pick somebody who can help us.
Yeah.
And so we picked this person in Chesterfield, and needless to say, like, his little ladies that worked in the office, they were super nice, but he was a different. I don't know what I was looking for. Now I question of whether he could have been the person or not, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It all kind of spins in my head
Yeah.
because the way he leaned over and goes, how old is he again? That's when my gut just went,
Yeah.
oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Well, I think anybody would, because you would expect somebody that's making hundreds of dollars an hour or whatever a lawyer makes to know the age of the person he's representing. I would think would be just normal research. I don't know. But again, that's just me, just a normal person in the community. I don't know. I don't know how these things work. So the next time you go to court, you start to, you have Mr. Presley and you're listening to Miss SS and she's dominating.
Man, she is a fucking pit bull.
Yeah.
She doesn't just stand with a stance. She glows with roar.
Yeah.
Really. She's really a good prosecutor,
Yeah.
to be honest with
Yeah.
you. Like, and I say that because if that is your job to prosecute and not give a fuck,
She does that.
winning.
Yeah.
Winning. You pick her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that we found, when it comes, and, good for her. We love, a strong woman. But the thing is that as we were going through the court documentation, there were flat out lies being told.
Yeah. But again, in her eyes, she's done nothing wrong. Because remember, they can do what they want. She already knows this.
Right.
It's other people that don't know these things.
Yeah,
So,
sitting in a courtroom, you can be just completely, by all the drama and whatever's being told, you can be swept away along with it. But hindsight, when you're actually going through the court documentation and finding things that are said and being like, oh, wait, but we have this over here. Oh, wait, you said this last time, and that's completely contradictory to what you're saying right now. Those are the things you're able to find when you go and read all that court documentation. And that's what you would see reading the book as well. I mean, it's very apparent. There's things that are very apparent that were said on purpose to plant seeds and to press forward with the goal. And the goal was to put Sawyer away.
yes.
Yeah.
So, and with that, the lies, just the amount of buildup of lies that I can't imagine what my son was thinking of. Wow. I know he doesn't know that they can just say anything they want. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
So I can only imagine what he thought this is going to be like.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty fucking scary as you're kind of sitting through all that. I don't think he was trying to get away with anything. But we did expect truth to come out, so it would be fair.
Yeah, and that's
That
all
didn't happen.
Yeah, and that's all you wanted.
Yeah.
As they continued to postpone discovery, and again, I learned so much just being a part of this because I didn't even really know the term discovery. I mean, I knew the whole. After I knew what that actually meant, I'm like, oh yeah, of course that's what it is. But it's the sharing of the evidence, from both sides, so that you're able to come up with an answer and you're not just blindsided with things, right? The sharing aspect wasn't happening from prosecution to defense. You would ask for it and it would be redacted, or you'd ask for it and they wouldn't have it.
Which is perfectly normal if you start reading and researching. That's part of what they do.
Okay.
It's fucking with your fucking mind.
Yeah.
To make you go basically nuts.
Right.
To make you think it's something bigger than it is.
Yeah.
It's part of manipulation.
Right.
That's what they do. And it's really unfortunate that it has to be that way.
Right.
Call a spade, lay the shit out, and let somebody go ahead.
Yeah. So you didn't see body cam footage, which was promised. You did not get to see the neighbor reports, which was promised. But But you knew how those would go because you talked to the neighbors because
Right.
you knew them.
But when they turned it over, that's when you got to see a big block of black
Yeah.
written all through it. And she was like,
Well-
"Oh, it's just a name and the." Stop it, lady.
Yeah.
You're doing too much.
Yeah.
You're doing way too much.
Yeah, so all's redacted. Or they would be like, oh, you wanted that? We forgot. Oh, we'll have to bring that next time where you'd be postponed. So I think we should leave it at that because I think there was a clear reason why this was done. I know you're like, oh, it builds it up and it's fucking with your head and whatnot, but it had, I think there was a clear mission in doing that and they won. They won that mission.
They did.
So we'll talk about that when we come back.